Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson, and man, boy, do we have some questions this week, and there's not anything going on right now, is there, in Raiderland? Man, I tell you what, there is so much going on that Texas Tech is finally playing Mike Leach, the all-time winningest coach, who, of course, with all the, I say the bad blood between Leach and the admin that was here at the time, you'd think with all that drama, what that would mean, that would be the biggest story. Oh, it'd be crazy. You know what? To be honest, I don't know if that's the third. At best, it's the third biggest topic going on right now, that Texas Tech is playing Mississippi State and Mike Leach. Because, I mean, what Joey McGuire's doing on the recruiting trail, obviously Quinn Ewers, being in play, having taken an official to Texas Tech, even the basketball team, what they've been doing, some big games. I mean, that might be a stretch, the basketball. But the coaching staff, I mean, come on. That's huge. The filling out of the coaching staff. Right now, people are more concerned with that than, the fact that Tech's playing Leash. So, and a big disclaimer. So I'm taping this. Normally I tape this late in the week and it runs on Friday. And of course, this is still running initially on Friday. But before all this craziness happened, I booked a trip for my birthday to get out of town. I thought this would be a good time. There is no longer a good time for someone who works, does what I do anymore. Recruiting's year round, I guess maybe July, but still there's some big things going on in July now in recruiting. But anyways, I'm going to be out of town for a couple of days, but I didn't want to not answer your questions. I still want to do the mailbag, so this is being taped on Tuesday night. So to give you an idea, so who knows what has happened between Tuesday night and Friday morning when this will be published initially. So please keep that in mind when I'm answering these questions, because things could have completely changed. But again, I wanted to answer your questions, so I'm going to do so to the best of my ability. Let's dive right into them. Red Raider 96. What are the chances Texas Tech lands Quinn Ewers? Is Coach McGuire really that awesome? Yes, he is apparently really that awesome. What's funny is you talk to, you hear people at Texas and they feel, confident. You talk to people in the region and they can't help but, they lean like, oh, well, Tech's got a chance, but I think he's leaning towards Texas. But then you talk to Tech people and they don't feel that way. Tech feels confident too that they're definitely in the mix, that they have a very good shot of landing him. So I'm really at 50-50. I think Tech does have a chance. I think they have a really good chance. I think Zach Kitley doesn't hurt that. I think he helps. And I really believe, I wouldn't be shocked either way if he ends up going to Texas or Tech. TCU's out, according to multiple reports. A&M was never apparently really in it, even though they were mentioned initially. I think Tech has a good chance. Now, again, I'm filming on Tuesday. This is airing Friday, so he may have made a decision by then. But right now, it's a coin toss for me, to be honest. Lance4523 says, will you try and get an interview with Mike Leach before the bowl game? Yeah, I'm not going to. Again, my compadre and associate Pete Christie does great work at KCBD. He's the local NBC affiliate, and he's just a great dude and just such an institution himself. His Facebook page is an institution. I mean, he's been here so long, doing a good job covering Texas Tech. He's really tight with Mike Leach, and he already interviewed him and posted it. It's really interesting. Leach said some really good things, and I'll link it here in the story for you, or in the thread, so you can watch it if you haven't seen it. But it was interesting. Of course, he said, Tech owes him money and all that, but he said he loved the people and had some good things to say about the game in Texas Tech. So, I don't know what we could add to that. Pete crushed it all, and he, like I said, he's my co-host on the Rockin' Pregame on 101.1 FM, the Beard here in Lubbock. So, that's what I would go with. That would be redundant, even if I could land it, which I probably couldn't. Pete has that great access. He covered Mike Leach back in the day. All right, this is a really good question. DH Tech says, what's your opinion on team focus, scheming, and game plan development leading up to the Mississippi State game? Well, y'all want to talk about the Mississippi State game? Excuse me for my opening. But he says, will Tech have the leadership in place and focused to put together a competitive showing? bowl games are tricky. And, you know, you have a veteran team that's been, you know, no one's hit the portal. It's a close-knit, that I'm aware of. It's a close-knit group. You know, the coaching staff is fractured. You got, you got one coach. You have your offensive coordinator is going to be a head coach at Louisiana Tech. Your defensive coordinator is going to be a head coach at Abilene Christian. Coach Jones, Derek Jones, is going to be going off to Utah. Filani's going off to the wide receivers coach is going off to Washington State. So these guys are all already like recruiting and thinking about their other teams. How could they not? It's human nature. It's like you put your 2 weeks notice. And somebody made this analogy to me, and I said, you know what, that's completely right. You put your 2 weeks notice in, you know, you're not thinking about the company you're leaving. You're thinking about where you're going to, your future. Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you? That being said, this has been a close-knit group. I tell you, what really caught my attention and was alarming was that Sonny Cumbie was late to the whole bowl game teleconference because he was recruiting for Louisiana Tech. And he said during it, yeah, he's going to be putting together the game plan, preparing for Mississippi State. He said he's going to be watching practice, and that but he's also going to be recruiting for Louisiana Tech. So, you know, my first initial reaction is, ooh, this is not good. I mean, they're not going to be that, you know, focused enough. And I think Mike Leach is going to be pretty focused about playing Texas Tech. So my first thought is, just the matchup and Tech's pass defense against Mike Leach's air raid just doesn't sound like a good recipe. But weird things happen in a bowl game. So my mind is telling me, ugh, you know, watch out. But my experience is saying, you know, maybe they will step up and be competitive and have a good game plan. So there's some interesting things. I think they're going to plug in some guys like who's going to coach special teams. Well, I think it's going to be Sammy Morris. That's at least what I heard through the grapevine. You know, which makes a lot of sense. He was a great special teams player in the NFL for a long time, and just a great football player, period, both obviously at Tech and in the NFL. So he has a lot of knowledge of special teams. That ought to be interesting. How does it work? You know, we'll have to see. So I think you're on to something, DH Tech. To me, that is the question. But I want to go see. You know, they haven't started practicing. I want to go see what that's all about. So next week we'll see. I hope we'll get a glimpse into what's going on. And there's a lot of moving parts. New coaches coming in, old coaches going out, but then coming back and coaching. So I think it would be disingenuous for me to say that I know for sure what it's going to look like and how competitive and what kind of game plan they're going to put together. My first initial reaction is, ooh, you know, I'm a little nervous. But bowl games are crazy. We'll see. Texas Tech Austin said, where are you on your panic meter after the Providence game? He said he was okay until he read some Mighty Joe stuff, and he scared him a bit. He said, of course, by the time this airs, which I've said a couple times, the Tennessee game will be in the books, and this question will be either irrelevant or will be in bridge jumping mode. Well, what's interesting is that of the 3 games, this Tennessee game that has already been played might have been the hardest. Now, Tech may have won. They normally play very well at Madison Square Garden. Because Gonzaga's lost twice and has looked very beatable. Providence was tough. Obviously, they won. But my level of disappointment, I was disappointed in a couple things. Actually, I was just talking to Mighty Joe on the phone here about this. I didn't feel like the level of toughness that we've come to expect with Texas Tech was there against Providence. They never really bounced back from some adversity. The shot, and I've said this before, the shot selection at the end of the game I was disappointed in. You know, the way they didn't adjust to the zone defense, or at least not till it was too late, obviously. And just the team doesn't seem to be playing well together yet, which I know that's, you know, I guess that's to expect, but most of the big time programs have almost totally overhauled the roster. I mean, that is college basketball nowadays. So they got to get it together. They got to get it together fast, because like right now, at least not right now, but when you're watching this, but going into the game against Tennessee was playing better together. But so we'll have to see. Like you said, I mean, I really wish I could be taping this after having seen the Tennessee game, but you know, they'll have another opportunity against Gonzaga, who all of a sudden looks very beatable. So, you know, you do that, you win. To me, it's just the key is win one of the 3. Obviously, lost the first one. Win one of the 3 major non-conference prior to Big 12 play starting, and then you'll have a good resume in terms of where you're seated in the NCAA tournament, because that's what we're talking about, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. Deal Vet says, if you were signs, does Tech lose a QB to the transfer portal? And if so, which one or ones? Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think, to me, I mean, first off, I don't know what Henry Columbia, where his mind is right now. I mean, you may lose him regardless. And then going forward, Tyler Shuck, I mean, he didn't come here to sit behind a bunch of younger players. He came here to play. And he's already got, Mel Kiper talking about him, and he's on draft boards and stuff like that. So he would be gone, in my opinion. But then I don't know. People have been saying, "Oh, Barron leaves," but I don't know if he leaves. I mean, he likes Tech. He's a tough kid. He's a coach's son. I don't think he's just a guy to cut and run from competition. So, I mean, to me, if you had Ewers, Donovan Smith, and Barron Morton, and then whoever, whatever walk on or whatever, I mean, that's a pretty dang salty quarterback room. I'd win either any of those guys, all three of those guys. So, that's the way I see it. I don't know that to be the fact, but that just makes a lot of sense in my head. Two Poodle says, how long do I think it will be before we see the men's basketball team playing together as a team? He said January 1st, halfway through conference, or by the conference tournament. Well, it better be before the conference tournament, or unless they win it, which Tech hadn't had a lot of success here in the Big 12 tournament. No, I think coming up pretty soon. I mean, you've had McCullough out. You've had O'Banner was out before the season. Clarence was out. TJ Shannon had to sit out. So they haven't had a lot of opportunities to play, especially with real competition. So I really expect by the time, hopefully they showed it against Tennessee. But I mean, I really do expect by the time Big 12 play rolls around for us to be like, okay, this team's we're starting to see what this team is. Here's the rotation, all that stuff. So that's my best guess. I think it'll be sooner than what you're guessing here. All right, final question comes from Red Raider Grad, who says, what are the odds Tech flips Kyler Jordan, who's a Lubbock Cooper standout, very good player. He's committed to Baylor, but him and Joey McGuire have a very good relationship. James Blanchard, the bookbinder, Coach Bookbinder also came from Baylor. I mean, these are guys that are familiar with Kyler Jordan and have good relationships, and I know they're actively trying to flip him. I think they have a very good chance. Now, he's committed to, right now, the defending Big 12 champs, who, I mean, look at the way they play defense, and that would be very appealing. So, I don't think it's an open and shut deal, but in conversations I have with people in the know just today, I mean, people close to the situation, I'd say there's a shot. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he flipped to Texas Tech. So I'm telling you, there's a chance, basically. So, well, with that, I just want to say great questions from everybody as always. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and until next time.